At CFTH, we like to say that progress happens when everyone brings their piece of the puzzle to the table. And sometimes that means conversations about really complicated pieces. Now, I know restorative policies and removing barriers to housing may not sound like the lightest topic for a weekday evening, but I promise it's going to be one of the most hopeful ones. Over the past year, we've all seen new laws at the federal, state, and local levels, some of which have made the lives more complicated for our unhoused neighbors and for those that are working to support them. And while we won't dive into the politics of this today, we will acknowledge that they're part of why we're here this evening. Because when systems become more restrictive, communities like ours get to work. Programs like Homeless Court and other diversion efforts demonstrate that accountability and compassion don't have to be mutually exclusive. They can actually work hand in hand. These approaches focus on addressing the underlying issues that lead to homelessness and giving people the genuine opportunity to rebuild their lives, rather than simply cycling through incarceration. That kind of restorative justice takes courage, collaboration, and commitment from every corner of the system. And today we have the privilege of hearing from a powerhouse panel that embodies all three of those. But before we dive in, we're fortunate to have Harris County District Attorney Sean Tier here to set the stage for this discussion. He faces these challenges head on with equal parts data, determination, and humanity. District Attorney Tier began his journey at the University of Houston, earning his degree in American history before completing his JD at the UH Law Center. He started as a prosecutor in Harris County District's Attorney Court, and in November of 2024 was elected to District Attorney, focusing on balancing justice, fairness, and public safety. Please join me in welcoming District Attorney Sean Tier.
Okay, good evening. I had these incredible prepared remarks, and then I just got to see one of my favorite 8th grade teachers ever right here. And so, I'm done. My head is out. I have no idea what I'm going to say now. Wow, I've changed a little bit. I would venture a pretty hefty wager that in 8th grade she would not have bet that I'm standing up here talking. But I think that dovetails in so well into what this panel is about and what I want to talk about, which is people change, right? The book is never written all the way. I don't care if you're in 8th grade or if you are a 3-time felon at 50. The book doesn't have to be written. There are more chapters out there. I came in on a platform and I promised to deal with criminal justice in a different way, to really deal with addiction and mental health as what they are, which is a public health crisis and not criminality. There are criminal behaviors that happen when people are high or in mental health crisis. There's no question. And that's my job, is to deal with the behaviors, but always keep an eye on the root cause around it. And so I come at this not just as a career prosecutor. I started this journey a lot earlier than that. When I was 15 years old, I tell this story. My office right now is at 1201 Franklin Street, downtown. It's the Criminal Justice Center. When I was 15, the Harris County Jail, their address was 1301 Franklin. It is directly next door. At 15, I got a phone call that my mom was in custody on a felony possession of a heroin charge. I walked up those steps and bailed her out, only to then be the only person responsible for watching her go through detox for 2 days. Now, The 90s were not kind to people that we now recognize are dealing with a mental and physical ailment, right? Addiction is a disease of the brain. It is literally rewired your brain. She was charged with a felony. She pled guilty to a felony. She subsequently did what most addicts do. And as a 15-year-old boy, it was really tough to watch her say, I don't want to be a part of this family anymore. She went out onto the street. She wound up doing what most addicts on the street do. She became a victim of domestic violence. She became a victim of sexual assault, and it subsequently took her life. And now I'm in this position, and there's a big part of me a lot of times that thinks, what if incredible prosecutors like Lacey Johnson and the programs that we have now were available? What if we had given my mom the off-ramp that I want to give so many other people? Maybe she doesn't wind up there. Maybe she doesn't wind up dead. Right? Maybe she gets to sit here listening to her son be the elected DA of the second largest county in the country. We don't know that. But how many other people can we give that opportunity to? And that's all we can do. That's all we can do. We can give people opportunities. And so when I took office in January, that was an absolute non-negotiable for me. We are going to start treating mental health and addiction differently. See that? All right, that's all I wanted. One of those. I'm good. Let's hear the pen. They told me 15 minutes, so I'll probably be up here for 30. But we've been successful. Nowhere near as successful as we will be and need to be, but we've been successful. I've got some incredible numbers already, right? Since January 1st, and thanks in large part to our incredible county commissioners who gave us an unprecedented $7.6 million supplemental budget, $3 million of which went to our new Mental Health and Diversions Bureau. Because of that, that is absolutely worth clapping for. Because of that, we have transitioned a prosecutor that we will soon have full-time. Right now, we have them at our highest times at the jail, but they will soon be full-time, right, Lacey? I always forget I'm the boss. We will soon have them full-time, and they are the last person that a defendant who's now been charged has to see before they actually get booked into the Harris County Jail. And they are looking specifically to see if that person is in mental health crisis. And if they are, we have recognized that the place to help that person is not the Harris County Jail. As of now, we have already diverted 907 people this year alone from the Harris County Jail to the Harris Health Center or some other group before we charge them. Look, I got statute of limitations I deal with that are 2, 3, and 5 years. I don't need to put someone in that jail that night in the middle of a crisis. Because I don't know if anybody knows this, Harris County Jail is full. Like we're all full up, right? I know I'm breaking new information to y'all, and it is full of people that are struggling with mental health and addiction problems. You know how I know that unequivocally? Because I am a data guy. 80% of the people in the Harris County Jail right now have a diagnosed mental health condition. 80%, 8 out of 10, a full 1/3, 34% actually, a full third of them are on some form of a psychotropic medication. To suggest that mental health and the outcomes that we're dealing with from it aren't the leading crime driver in Harris County, is just either being ignorant or intentional about ignoring it. Those days are over for us. We are going to continue to do better with this. And the fact that we've already done 907, and the fact that next year I want to triple that number. Harris County right now spends $54 million a year shipping people out of our county jail to private prisons in Mississippi and Louisiana because we're so full. When I took office in January, we had right at 10,000 people in custody in just the Harris County jail. As of last week, we're at 8,600. The front page of the Chronicle had the fact that we canceled our contract with Mississippi. This is not just being, I can't help it. I go on Twitter and read all the comments about me. This is not just being like the Soros open the jail and let everybody out. This is being smart on criminal justice. We are not just opening the doors. We are actually dealing with people as individuals on just types of cases. So, in doing that, we've got to have real conversations about the root cause. We've got to have real conversations about arresting the same individual at the same spot because in their psychosis, in their thought, they own this convenience store, right? They can absolutely walk in and get food there. And arresting them and giving them 20 days in the county jail. And then they're going back to the convenience store they own and doing it over and over again. That costs so much money. Man hours, bed hours, all of that. But if we can stabilize them and get them supportive housing and work with our hundreds of committed groups around a place where they can get their medication, an opportunity to do something else. I'm not naive enough to think we save them all. But if we get the people that need the help and will take advantage of the help, a different off-ramp, I'm saving people money. I mean, I will personally feel good that I'm saving souls and actual human beings. But I know, because I speak to a lot of groups, some groups just don't care about that. They just want to talk about the money, which is fine. This is cheaper. It's better. It ends the cycle of violence that we've been doing for decades. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We've been doing the same thing over and over and over again. We're expecting a different result. We've got to be intentional about it. By actually getting trained prosecutors with the support staff they need, with the paralegals, with the other groups. That's how we change this. And I make this pitch all the time. I promise I'll shut up and we can actually get to the experts in this. But my pitch to every group I talk to is I don't need a new jail. We're earmarking hundreds of millions of dollars to build a new jail. I don't need a new jail. In less than a year, I've reduced the jail population safely by more than 1,400, while violent crime has gone down consistently during that time. Point that out. I don't need a new jail. What I need is this county to commit to building a 6,000 bed step down mental health facility. I need 2,000 dedicated lockdown beds where I cannot file a criminal charge, where I file an emergency detention order civilly and get that individual stabilized, where I partner with the public defender's office to have them not be a criminal defense attorney in this, but to be effectively a guardian ad litem who sits with these people. You're coming home. I need you and everyone where they sit and monitor and help advocate on behalf of this individual, not to get them released as quickly as possible, but to get them stabilized. And once they're stabilized, I have 4,000 other beds that are effectively shorter term, stable housing, so that then groups like the Beacon and all of the other incredible groups out here can be right around the periphery and help them get IDs, help them maybe get a job, help them get more long-term supported housing. We actually off-ramp. Our unhoused population is so much minuscule. It is so much more manageable because, quite frankly, what Judge Duval's doing, what so many groups are doing, it feels like we're bailing out the sea with a teaspoon. But if we get groups of these people back onto a different track, then the ones that need truly intensive care, it's so overwhelming. So, on plans and ideas, I could stand up here and take up the whole meeting, but I promise you, I promise you, this panel, I'm going to not talk because these are the experts in this field. These are the people we all need to listen to. And I just, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here. This turnout's amazing. I haven't been to this facility. It's great. So thank you for having me. I can't wait to listen, and I'm never going to not talk. So I'll interject. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that story and for your support of the diversion programs and promoting equitable justice. Now it is my privilege to introduce the incredible panel that we have here today. Each plays an essential role in Houston's diversion and homeless court programs. First, please join me in welcoming the Honorable Judge Grantham Harlan Coleman, a municipal court judge for the city of Houston since 2005 and one of two judges presiding over the homeless court docket. Judge Coleman has dedicated over a decade to ensuring individuals experiencing homelessness have access to justice and pathways to stability. Born in Shreveport, Louisiana, and raised in Houston 3rd Ward, he earned his Bachelor's of Business Administration from the University of Texas and a Juris Doctorate from Thurgood Marshall School of Law. Beyond the bench, Judge Coleman is an ordained minister, founder of 2 Chronicles 7 verse 14 Ministries for Change, and a sought-after community leader. Next, we have Lacey Thompson, Mental Health Division Chief with the Mental Health and Diversion Bureau at the Harris County District Attorney's Office with 18 years of experience. Lacey manages cases involving individuals found incompetent to stand trial or not guilty by reason of insanity, and probation and diversion programs designed to address the root causes of criminal justice involvement among people with mental illness or intellectual disabilities. Her work is centered on rehabilitation-focused outcomes and equitable access to justice. Following Lacey, please welcome Stephanie Marone, Managing Attorney and Pro Bono Coordinator at Beacon Law. Stephanie leads a small but mighty and dedicated team that removes legal barriers preventing clients from restabilizing in housing and employment. She focuses on ID restoration and clearing or sealing eligible criminal records, helping individuals regain access to essential services and opportunities. Her work ensures that legal obstacles do not perpetuate cycles of homelessness or incarceration, supporting meaningful outcomes for those navigating diversion programs. Next up, Scott Moore, Senior Associate of Coordinated Entry and Special Projects. At the Coalition for the Homeless of Houston and Harris County, Scott manages Coordinated Entry Program and oversees City of Houston's Municipal Homeless Court, connecting people experiencing homelessness with vital services and housing pathways. Since joining the coalition in 2004, he has contributed to community strategies, training, education, advocacy initiatives. Scott's experience makes him a leader in system coordination and access, ensuring these programs function effectively and support long-term stability. And finally, last but certainly not least, moderating our discussion today is Josue Rodriguez, Director of Community Strategy at CFTH. Josue has led the organization's advocacy efforts with the City of Houston, Harris County, and community stakeholders since 2024, focusing on equity, inclusion, and system accountability. With prior policy experience as an advisor in the Office of Harris County Judge Lena Hidalgo, Josue ensures that diversion and homeless court programs are aligned with broader community strategies and equitable outcomes. We are thrilled to have him guide us with today's conversation.
Yes. Well, hello, everybody. How are we doing today? Good. Well, I am going to speak the least today and let these wonderful people speak the most. I think that the phrase people change was a great introduction into this panel. And I think that goes into the crux of why we're here today. So, Katina, thank you for the introductions. And I just want to give an opportunity to just go down the line and introduce yourself and tell us what is your role within the homeless court or just diversion programs overall.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I'm Brant Coleman, and I'm one of the judges that presides over the City of Houston's outreach docket.
Hi, Lacey Johnson. I am the Mental Health Division Chief at the DA's office.
Hi, I'm Scott Moore. I'm actually a self-titled Homeless Court Administrator, and also the Homeless Court Bailiff, which I'll talk about.
And hi, my name is Stephanie Marone. I'm the managing attorney at Beacon Law. We are a small legal aid located at the same address as the Beacon, a amazing day shelter or day center for those experiencing homelessness in Houston.
So those are really big titles, and I'm not entirely sure what that all means. But Judge Coleman, can you guide us through your day-to-day life? What exactly you do besides being a judge? What exactly you do within the homeless court, and what does that work look like?
All right. Well, what you're asking is just simply this: I preside over the outreach docket. Basically two Wednesdays a month, and we have another judge who also has a day. And what that amounts to is you spend all day wonderfully doing the work that the City of Houston needs from a judge concerning the residents and the defendants that come before me, anticipating the 4 o'clock docket, we get to have some fun. We have an opportunity to speak with people and hear their celebratory stories about why they are, where they are, what they've gone through, and just, how they've overcome. I get to hear them smile. I get to encourage them. Even today, I had them, I'll say this, don't tell anyone. So they come in, they go, and I'm supposed to stand and let everybody rise. And I just said, no, I just walked in and I sat down and I talked to everybody there. And I said, and act, but I'll tell him. I said, Mr. Moore, I said a bunch of things for him. I had everybody there celebrate this guy, Scott Moore. Why? Because of what he does on this outreach document. So everybody stood, everyone clapped, they acknowledged who he was. I feel good about taking the opportunity to do that. So it's not about me. I'm there to help the others.
So I'm over the mental health division, and we still do something that we have done for a very long time, which is whenever we have a felony case where someone has been found incompetent to stand trial, or they've been found not guilty by reason, I have trained very senior felony attorneys who take over the prosecution of those cases involving, restoration and mental health services at state hospitals, and eventually prosecution of the charge up to and including trial if that's what's appropriate in the case. What's been new this year and has been really exciting for us, and frankly takes up most of my bandwidth these days, is we are expanding to try and identify cases much earlier in the process, like at the time of filing, which of these cases have a mental health component. And I don't just mean you're depressed that you got a charge, right? I mean like an actual, you're in crisis, right? This is something where if we treated your mental health issue, if we addressed your housing issue or your lack of a job, maybe you wouldn't have to come into the criminal justice system at all anymore. So we have a great team of attorneys and our brand new social worker, Darielle Bond, who I want to shout out, who's doing great work for us, who are trying to identify those cases and then reach out to defense counsel and create service plans and off ramps to get those people connected to services and out. So hopefully they'll come back.
And I cannot wait to work with you.
That's great. I can tell you.
Great. So what is my role in this? First of all, I need to say I'm not an attorney. I'm not a judge, although all the clients I work with think that I am. I know nothing about your tickets because I don't work for the city of Houston. I work for the Coalition for the Homeless. And I did just briefly, I explained to them, I just kind of set the docket up. I speak with them before they see the judge, hand out their paperwork, and we celebrate their work in their program because it's not about judge, it's not about me. We really try to celebrate the hard work that they are doing. My other role in this, besides putting, the names list together, submitting it to the court, all that stuff, the second thing is we decided when we started this back in 2006 that we did not want to have a uniformed bailiff in the courtroom because it would trigger a lot of our clients for many reasons that we all are aware of. So I come in as we don't have a bailiff in there, but I kind of play the homeless court bailiff. And we just got a brand new security guard a couple months ago. And the other bailiff, they all know me there. I've been doing this for a minute. And he introduced her to me and she goes, "Oh, you're the homeless court bailiff." And that was the biggest compliment I ever got. The thing is, I'm like, I don't get paid for it. But basically, that's the only things that I do in a nutshell. But and it's only a part of what I do. The docket is very easy to run over the past years, and we're trying to expand it in the city and in the county.
So I represent, in a weird way, defense attorneys, because as a legal aid attorney, it's very odd to allow a legal aid attorney to do criminal defense work. So back when we were founded as the Cathedral Justice Project, back in 2012, our founders had determined that the people coming through the day center had legal issues that needed to be resolved in order for that person to restabilize in terms of housing or employment. And so Cathedral Justice Project was born. We later became Beacon Law to be more in line with branding, because who doesn't love branding? And our two major areas of focus is what we refer to internally as ID restoration, removing obstacles to getting a valid Texas driver's license or ID, which is really the passport to the average American life. You needed to get a job. You needed to get housed. And a lot of those obstacles are Class C misdemeanors, which are the lowest level of misdemeanor in the state of Texas. These are, quote, fine-only offenses. And yes, I did wink. And so we went to our grant funders and we said, hey, listen, the Constitution of the United States does not contemplate court-appointed defense attorneys in fine-only cases. Will you let us do this low-level criminal work? And they said, sure, just don't make it a thing. And 54% of our cases last year were Class C misdemeanors. So it's certainly a thing. We work very hard to remove not only tickets, but other suspensions and holds that can be very difficult for our clients to navigate. Our second largest area of practice is criminal record clearing and sealing. So this is looking at Class B misdemeanors and higher to see if anything's eligible to be cleared, or what we refer to in Texas as expunction, because we have to have our own front word for things. What other people refer to as expungement, or sealed, which is called non-disclosure. So those are our two primary areas of focus, and we're working really hard to get people in a position not only to find housing, because 9 in 10 landlords run background checks, but to also help them find employment, because the same number of employers, 9 in 10, run background checks as well. So that is what we do at Beacon Law.
Okay, and now that you've heard from everyone else, how the system works, I'm the judge that presides over it. I simply remit the cases, the fines, and the court costs. I'm the one who gets to celebrate with them and tell them that this portion of their journey is ended. They have, within 4 business days, you should be able to go visit with the state of Texas and acquire their ID, get their license back. I get to celebrate with them in all those circumstances. I hear about how wonderful they've been and how persons in every other aspect of this journey has treated them. So again, I simply smile, remit the documentation so that they have it after that. They don't owe the city of Houston any money. And again, I get paid to do it. And as I said, I spend a good portion of my day working very hard and diligent as a judge. But the celebratory part comes at 4 p.m. on Wednesday afternoons.
And first and foremost, thank you for every single one of you for what you do. And George Coleman, I wanted to expand on the history of the court. Scott was just mentioning that it got started back in 2006. Would you mind elaborating on the history of the court?
I've had an opportunity to serve in that for the past a little over 10 years. It was begun by Judge Steve Kirkland at that time, and with members of the Coalition for the Homeless. And the circumstance became a situation where when you're dealing with people in crisis, you have circumstances that they have to attend to. They fall into legal loopholes, and they fall down. And this was just an opportunity at that point, and even now, after so many years, to lift them up and point out it's not the worst thing in the world. We're going to comfort you through. We're going to love you through it. And what we have is we have a prosecutor office who takes an opportunity to look at the cases, makes recommendations in the courtroom, because again, that also will change the dynamic of what's going on. And with that recommendation, we have an opportunity to remit, the dollars that are involved. If it's an EPS warrant fee, right? $10 or $30. It makes an awful lot of difference. A lot of persons who may spend some time in jail, but I'd like to this that. I like my time served. Benefit when they have but even then, you still have a $10 fee or $30 fee. So even though at that point you don't owe the fine and the cost anymore, you still owe the state of Texas. So you have to figure out a way how to do that. So some people come before me just owing $30 on 4 cases, $10 on several cases. We have an opportunity to remit it so that there's no dollars owed. We get to walk out and again be able to go and participate and get a license or get an ID or get some of the things that way. If you don't know, if you don't have a license, you know it's an issue. If you don't have an ID, there are a lot of places that you can't go. You might desire housing. You might desire to show up and say, I'm here, but their regulations require IDs. We need to know who's here. And if you don't have that, certainly being able to go through the process and visit with everyone else, follow program management, and then have an opportunity to get celebrated. I have my ID. I have my life. That's what we do. That's what's been done. Just Steve Kirk has been part of our system.
Thank you. And Stephanie, Speaking of these legal hurdles, I was wondering if you could guide us through some of the recent legislative changes at the Supreme Court level, at the state level, and now at the local level.
I think I'd like to address a little bit just kind of the practicality of this legislation. So, when somebody gets a ticket, right, and maybe they're unhoused, are they, number one, going to remember that they have a court date? Number two, are they afraid because they think they might have other warrants for their arrest, right? Number three, do they have transportation to get there? Sometimes they don't, and that is an impediment. So when you don't go to court on a ticket, it's usually reset. They give you a second bite of the apple, and then you don't show up, and then they put a warrant out for your arrest. And with that warrant also comes a reporting to the Texas Failure to Appear database. And that reporting says that you have delinquent tickets, and that creates what is known as a ticket hold on your ability to obtain a valid Texas driver's license. Additionally, if you want an ID, because you have too many tickets to get your license, we have to tell people, sure, you can go to DPS, but they are well within their rights to tell you to have a seat while they make a couple phone calls. So people don't want to go to DPS with all of these tickets outstanding and all of these warrants. As Judge mentioned, unfortunately, there are these special fees called Omni fees that are placed on cases where someone doesn't appear or they fail to pay when they set up a payment plan that they clearly can't afford. And sometimes we see City of Houston tickets causing a ticket hold on someone's ability to get a license, but it's just the $30 Omni fee. And we tell our client, hey, you got $30 for this Omni fee? Oh, no. $30 to you and me is much different to $30 for somebody living unhoused on the streets, right? Or couch surfing. I mean, homelessness is a spectrum, right? It's not just the people that we see. It's people who are staying with family and friends as long as they allow, but could be put out on the street tomorrow. People in shelters, people in rehabilitative programs. So basically, when you get this ticket for behavior that is maybe just living, it comes with a $175 plus fine. And if you couldn't pay the $30 for the Omni fee, you can imagine what $175 or $200 or $334 sounds like to somebody living on the street or doesn't know where they're going to be staying tomorrow night. And so I often ask people who are involved in this, what do you think they're doing with these tickets? Are they stuffing their mattress? Are they throwing them away? Are they using them as kindling? Because they don't have the money to pay you, and then this ticket goes on to create an obstacle for them getting housed and getting employed. So I hope that is somewhat enlightening in terms of how policies can have maybe a different impact than was initially expected. I tell judges and clerks and prosecutors very often, you cannot squeeze blood from a stone. I understand you want your money. There is no money. And so I would say that treating homelessness or treating, unhoused behavior in this way is probably not stopping people from just doing it again. And so I don't know practically how well it works.
Yes. Thank you for that. Thank you. And Scott, we talked about the history of the court, the legal hurdles, but you work with the clients directly. So how has support system developed over time to what they are now, and are they sufficient for the clients?
Well, number one, I chose from the beginning to call them clients, not defendants, because that's, I have lived experience on the streets. I have lived experience in front of the bench where I was a defendant. So I treat them as you all do, the service providers, with dignity and respect, as well as the judges do. And so what has changed over the years is just what Stephanie was talking about. Originally, we didn't have the ability to drop those omni fees or to resolve those. Same thing now with the prosecuting attorneys. Again, I'm not an attorney, but this is what I know what goes on. They try to dismiss the most punitive tickets first, like no insurance, no driving on an expired license, all of that may keep them from obtaining employment or keep them from not passing the background check for their housing from a landlord. Those are really the only changes. But what hasn't changed is what happened today in Judge Coleman's chambers, where this young lady, she came in and she was very grateful that she was there. She like, thank you, Judge, thank you, and she was doing the happy dance in front of his bench, and then she started crying, and those tears were joy. They weren't, because she'd been living in fear for so long. And so when she got her orders of dismissals, and then she came by me, I always try to fist bump. Yeah, keep up the good work. You're doing a great job, and all of that. And she just like brushed it aside, gave me a huge hug, and literally started sobbing. And it's like that has not changed. It's so there are some tweaks, and we're always tweaking things, but just the celebration part has never changed. And that's the reason why I love being a homeless court.
Scott Moore, ladies and gentlemen. And Lacey, to turn to you, I mean, we are under a new administration of the Harris County District Attorney's Office. So could you guide us into you had some help earlier today, but can you guide us through some of perhaps the policies that you all have been changing and the reason behind it too?
Yeah, so one of the things that Sean and his whole leadership team came in with was the idea that, we can't prison our way or jail our way out of all of these problems. And so we talk a lot about what can we do as the DA's office, because we have a pretty big stick and we have a pretty big carrot that we can offer people and be like, hey, you don't have to go to jail, you don't have to go to prison, like if you will just work the service plan, right? What can we do to move us in that direction? And so, there's always going to be room for traditional folks with, very violent, very serious charges, but there's a whole lot of people that we're not scared of, we're just kind of annoyed at, right? Their behavior isn't dangerous, it's a nuisance, right? It's annoying. And so the conversations that I was at the jail working our diversion desk on Monday. And so the conversations that I have with police officers or victims is like, look, this person getting a time served offer in jail isn't going to fix the problem. It's not going to prevent them from coming back. What's going to keep them from coming back and you having to go out and deal with it, officer, on the next call, is if we can get them to a place where they're connected to services, where they can maybe find that off ramp that we've been talking about. So I think even just setting the stage with the mindset, with a group of people like we have in my bureau under Sheriff Chappelle's leadership, and then the attorneys that I have working for me, just to even begin to inject that viewpoint into the conversation and start taking that message to other prosecutors in the office, it's the biggest change. Because no offense, like they don't care much what the defense bar says, but if they have a senior prosecutor coming and telling them, hey, have you thought about it this way? It can really begin a conversation for some of our folks who have maybe never thought about it that way before.
Very well said. And Lacey, I think you hit the nail on the head with some of your comments, and I want to turn to you, Judge Coleman, because diversion or restorative justice, all these different terms, they sometimes come across as get out of jail free cards. So let's talk about it. So other judges, perhaps elected judges, may not be too fond of the idea of diversion programs. So how will you address the belief or the statement that they're quote unquote get out of jail free cards?
It's not that at all. it's a circumstance where you recognize from a revenue aspect, perhaps you're not able to, as you indicated, get blood from a stone. But for instance, there's circumstances where people experience something on a temporary basis, all right? And then during that time, the city of Houston and others have recognized that for that particular moment, they don't have any money. Why don't they have any money? I had a health situation, where I can't pay my medical bills, or I'm not able to work, or simply I'm in a shelter wherein I'm working a plan and a program where the program manager is indicating if you do these things and you work hard at it, that there's an outcome that will be beneficial to you. And in the moment, you aren't able to pay anything. You're not able to work. The shelters indicate, hey, this particular time, you have to be here. Whatever period of time, whether it's the first 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, so you're not able to work. If you were, you still don't have a job. All right, so the fact that you're remitting, which is what it amounts to, hey, there's $1 that you owe. You're not able to pay for it at this time, so at this point, let's help you, all right, get you started, give you a push, give you a reward in terms of money that you owe, but are now not able to pay, understanding that this is going to help you along your journey, and smile along the way. So again, it's not a get out of jail situation. Now, if you have a person who comes through more than once, certainly you're attentive. What is it that's still allowing this person to have an issue, or still have a challenge, or still involve themselves in this kind of behavior? And you get to make adjustments along the way. Hey, this might be your whatever period of time is that you're not able to come through at this time. But the fact that you recognize that residents, defendants, your clients, still come in the court system is still a humane and loving manner of addressing it, as well as attempting to help them along their journey.
And then, Lacey, I'd love to turn to you because there are many complex issues with the county. DA here mentioned the jail, and perhaps you'll have a uphill battle with a lot of the programs, and part of it is showing that they work and why they're valuable. So how do you respond to the statement that they are get out of jail free cards?
I don't think that at all. I think people have to work these programs, right? They have to do things that maybe they're not inclined to do on their own, that are hard for them to do, they're scary for them to do, right? It's hard for someone to take help sometimes, right? And they can even be prideful. So asking them to do things, right? Go work this program with people you don't know, because I'm telling the state, I'm telling you they're going to help you get your ID and they're going to help you get your medicine. That's a big leap of faith on their part. And on top of that, like, it is what the community is asking for in many cases. I talked to many family members because many of them are victims of offenses. Or maybe their son has assaulted them. Maybe their daughter has come by and broken the window to their house to come and get in. And what they tell us over and over again is they need help. I need to get them some help. And so it's not a get out of jail card. It's giving the community what they're asking for and what these people need.
And and Scott, I mean, you work with these clients directly. So I really would love to know what you think of the term "get out of jail free cards" for them.
I'm sorry, I'm not an attorney or a judge, and I cannot answer that. No, exactly what Lacey was talking about. That they are the ones that are putting the work in. And I'm sorry, like I said, I've had lived experience. When I was out on the streets, I needed help, but I was in crisis and I could not do it myself. I needed assistance of programming, which really helped me over 20 years ago and saved my life. And I was able to get that hand up as opposed to hand free. And what I also know about is that for some reason, the courts love clearing their dockets.
So I want to draw everyone's attention that we're talking about the Homeless Court program in the City of Houston Municipal Court. And a lot of people don't understand that there are a lot of overlapping jurisdictions here in Harris County. So we have our police departments. We have City of Police Department, City of Jersey Village Police Department. We have West University Police Department. I mean, the list goes on. We have our sheriff's office. We have our constable's office. We have Texas DPS. We have Texas Parks and Wildlife. So all of these tickets go to different courts, right? If it's a police department, it goes to the municipal court. So we're talking about tickets issued by the Houston Police Department. And the city attorney's office acts as prosecutors there. And the reason I just wanted to mention that is because ADA Johnson is here representing a county-wide push, which is really incredible. And I can tell you from having interacted with ADA Johnson and other people under this administration, in large part, everyone is on the same page about this being the mission. And I am so excited that they're walking the walk instead of just talking the talk. And so I kind of forgot the question. Oh, for get out of jail free card. So no, overwhelmingly, very few people go through homeless court the second time. Right? After the first time, their tickets are cleared. They get an ID. Goodbye. Like we're so excited never to see you again, which is a weird thing to say. But I tell my clients, this is not a get out of jail free card. This is not a revolving door. You can't just not pay bus fare and come back every time you get a ticket for not paying bus fare. That's not how this works. Usually these people are working their programs. If they are not, they do 20 hours of community service in order to get the referral in the first place. So these are people who are making the effort to resolve the issues the best that they're able to at this place in their life. It's definitely not like hey, Mr. So-and-so, I see you didn't pay your bus ticket again. That's not it at all. It's removing barriers to restabilization, period.
And can I just clarify another thing? In order to get on the homeless court docket with the city of Houston, they must be referred from a case manager of a program they currently have already worked. Because there are times, and then years later, they try to get an ID and they can't because they forgot they had all these outstanding tickets. So knowing how to get a jail-free card, they're actually working hard. The other thing I want to clarify too, just for on record, is that these are not my clients. They're our partners' clients. CFTH, what my job is to funnel those, and that's why the court really to program, because they're not dealing with case managers at their bench with clients, trying to resolve, and they're in crisis. So they're your clients. It's your way of celebrating their success. It's the coalition's way of celebrating success.
Again, Lacey, I'm gonna turn to you real quick. So we talked about the concept of the history, the criticism. I want to turn our attention to the areas of opportunity. And thank you, District Attorney Chantier, for being here. Who used to work with my mocktail coach, Paul Young. Good old Paul. Anyways, back to the question. So, given your role as the mental health division chief, what areas of opportunities are there left or are there available, especially at the county, and giving all the jurisdictions that are never ending? I'm looking at Madeline, my former colleague. What are the areas of opportunity?
So we have really great diversion programs if you make it all the way to court. But what we really need is more ways to divert people before they get to court. And that's really a bad issue, right? One of the things that I know Cheryl and I have repeat a lot is if you fail to deal with things on the civil side, you force us to deal with them on the criminal side. So what we need more psychiatric beds for people in crisis at NPC, at HCPC. Both of those are like basically downtown. It is really hard to ask a constable from the far-flung reaches of Precinct 8 to drive somebody all the way downtown to a hospital or all the way down to the South Loop to divert someone. We need diversion centers. We need psychiatric beds that are in various places around the community to make it much easier for people to get a bed in their community next to their support system so that hopefully they never have to come to court.
Now to turn to you, Judge Coleman and Stephanie, as the two different ends of the judicial system, I wanted to ask, what are some of the areas of opportunity?
I think for a long time, and thanks to Scott's efforts mostly, we've been looking to expand into the Justice of the Peace courts in Harris County. And this is a area that Judge Steve Dubel has been a big supporter in terms of trying to help people come through the court with these collective misdemeanors, among other issues. And so it's been a lot of start and stop, you know, there's a lot of parties involved. But I think that would go a long way to serving, you know, this population, because bless their little hearts, but they come to me and they're like, oh, I don't need your help anymore. I live in Homeless Court, don't worry about it. And I'm like, oh, so you've got $30,000 to get out of insurance now. And they're like, I don't understand what the difference is. And I'm like, well, it's a different court, and I'm going to have to talk to different people in order to try to help you resolve this. And so I think that expanding the efforts that we have seen be so successful in this City of Houston Municipal Court program to a wider audience, so to speak, would be a huge step right there.
And just for clarification, what is the difference between a municipal court in the City of Houston and a JP court at the county?
Sure. So for our clients, it's basically who gives you a ticket. And so if it's the Houston Police Department, your ticket is sent to the City of Houston Municipal Court down at 1400 11th Street. If you are ticketed by a constable, of which there are 8 precincts, then your ticket could be routed to one of 2 courthouses in that precinct, which is also confusing to people. And so basically, it's just a matter of who issued the ticket and in which jurisdiction you were ticketed. And so because there are 16 different personalities heading up our JP court, you can imagine that comes with a lot of different thoughts on whether or not there should be some sort of general program. But I am hopeful that now that we have an attorney's office that is interested in this kind of assistance, that we might be able to get this program off the ground.
Thank you. And it's good to know that the 16 different JP courts are headed by elected officials. Like 16 different elected officials. Scott, as someone who has worked with kinds of partners, what do you see as some of the areas of opportunities?
And everything that was said right now. Other areas of opportunity. Well, during COVID, no one wants to work with paper anymore. And but the referral process was 100% paper. And then ever since COVID, I developed how to do referral through our HMIS, which is the Homeless Management Information System. So now they have the option to do both. Because some people are old school, they want to use the paper, the referral. But then the other is, so the opportunity is for people to learn how to use AI so I can make my job a little bit easier, because everything is getting easier and easier and harder for me. So there is an area of opportunity.
Thank you. So as we come to an end, the last question I have for you all is, what is the big success you would like to live? Either personally, with the client, within the bench. What is the biggest success you can think of? It could be a person, it could be a policy, it could be an election, it could be.
Well, what we talked about, the biggest success, and what we touched on, is that we start seeing more and more people, and clients don't understand why. And they don't understand the volume. Like recently, we had a gentleman who was 74 years old. He had dementia. The Beacon was working with him. He's been very well known in our community for many, many, many years. And the only thing they needed to do to get him housed was to get. But he refused to say, "I don't have any tickets. I don't have any tickets. I don't have anything." And so. And the case manager came to me and said, "He is not going to show up for court, and we need to get his ID." He had 332 tickets, and he's not the only one. I mean, it is usually the most vulnerable that they're targeting, who have over 300 tickets, and they just don't understand what's going on. So we petitioned the judge with a letter of support from the case manager saying, "Here's the barriers." And we were able to resolve, and it took judge about 3 days to get through those 300, in between what she normally does, to get those cases dismissed. But we were able to house him. And if it wasn't for the program, if it wasn't for the case manager to hold his hand and do the work, he would still be on the streets right now. That's my grandpa.
I've had a lot of clients express gratitude because, this was the step that they needed to take in order to get their valid Texas driver's license, which, as we know as Houstonians, is really important. We've had clients tell us that their potential employers will not hire them if they're going to have to take the bus or the train because it's not a reliable source of transportation, and buses and trains don't go everywhere in our city. So recently, I got a message from someone working at a homeless shelter in Austin. There was a gentleman there in their shelter. He and his family were very excited about a job prospect at the Austin airport, but he needed to get his driver's license. And his tickets were in Houston. There were no possible ways for him. There are no possible ways for him to get here. And so I messaged Scott and I said, we only ask if it's completely impossible for this person to show up. And I got a message from Scott saying it's all been cleared up. I got the most beautiful email thanking us for helping him and his family. He was optimistic for the first time in a long time because he was going to be able to get this job. And it meant so much to him and his family that they were going to be able to shelter. So that is but one of thousands of tens of thousands of stories that come out of homeless court because, this is just something that's holding them back. It's not something they're ever going to be able to pay back. They have done what they need to do in terms of programs, rehabilitative, homeless, or otherwise, or they have done their community service in an effort to get referred into the program. It's a really happy thing, which is not often in the justice system. And so that is my success story.
Thank you.
So I don't have clients in the same way that Stephanie does. And that Scott doesn't have because he's not an attorney. But one person that comes to mind is a lady named Vanessa. Vanessa was facing a felony assault of a family member charge. And I want to give credit to her defense attorney who brought this case to Cheryl and I and said, "Can you please help?" Because she's been in and out several times. Her mom is saying she won't take her meds. Her son has now been placed with her mom. She's facing all these problems. So we originally tried to get her out on bond to see if she would go to the diversion center and get mental health treatment there. She walked out of the jail, refused to get on the bus over there because she said the CIA had gotten her out because she'd been reporting to them in jail. And again, credit to her attorney for immediately coming back and trusting us enough to tell us that get her back into custody for a short period of time so that the judge could sign a specific type of order that we have that transfers her to NPC for an evaluation for inpatient civil commitment proceedings. And we dismissed the case, right? And so at that point, her felony assault case got dismissed. Her family was fully on board. It was what they wanted. We kind of had to trust at that point that the county attorney's office and the probate court were all just, they were going to see what we saw and they were going to really help her. And a month or two later, it was on a Sunday, the defense attorney sent a text that he'd gotten from Vanessa's mom saying, my daughter just got out of the hospital. She's on her meds, and they were at like a park having a family barbecue with her son. And, if that's not what this is about, I don't know what is.
I concur with all that I've heard at this point as far as success stories. Again, I made an effort to try to relay that information to you. That's what I get a part of on Wednesdays when they come forward. In terms of opportunities, and I don't know where we are on this, a lot of people that I speak with, they open up, they're willing to share, they're willing to tell me about their challenges, but also about the successes at this point. They're willing to tell me about relationships that are mended and the opportunities they have to see their families again, children again. They're willing to tell me, I did this, I did that, but now I'm holding myself accountable. I have other persons are holding me accountable. And so what I'm saying is, what I'd like is more people to know about those successes other than just in this room. That's what I would like. There are those, and I talk with them all the time, who be willing to share. They'd be willing to talk with people. They'd be willing to let them know that the program works. They'd be willing to say that a structured program allowed me to get some time, and then therefore, I took my medicine. Then once I took the medicine, things progressed, things changed. So what I'm saying is they'd be willing to allow the public to know that information, that what they're doing in Houston works. So that's what I'd like to happen, come out of this.
Well, once again, thank you for each one of you. You're doing incredible work, and it's work that happens a lot of time behind the scenes. So on behalf of Houstonians and Harris County residents, thank you all for everything you guys do. Thank you. Awesome. And I think we may be a bit at time, but I'll pass it over to Katina.
We have time for a couple questions. So if anybody has a question, please feel free to ask. We are going to keep it kind of brief so that we can get a couple questions in. And then just know that all the speakers will be available afterwards to just have commentary with if you'd like to do that too. Yes. Okay.
So I can tell you a couple that I know about. So there's a great program out of Probate Court 3 called the Assistant Outpatient Treatment Program. It is an outpatient civil commitment that provides wraparound services. It's basically like a 6 to 12 month process for folks who just need a little bit more help to stabilize out in the community. And then the Harris Center has several teams, FACT, ACT, too many acronyms, right, that can also provide those things out in the community. I think it's probably something that enough people don't know about. I think they could be helpful. They probably could use more money, frankly.
We are fortunate to house on the Beacons campus a healthcare for the homeless, which is a program that has a couple of locations. I believe it's a Harris Health program, but basically one of the features is medication management. Our clients can come in and work with a doctor and medical staff in order to get that.
Because I think it's important what you're saying. I think all of these systems people believe are available and funded at a level that can meet the need in the community. And so they see somebody and they think it's a one-off and it's an individual just choosing not to be engaged in services. And the truth is, and this is true across southern states, there's very little money and not enough money put into mental health and into public health and to homelessness and into all the things that then would allow us to be a fully funded system that could solve inflow and outflow to address these issues, so we could stop seeing the perception of individuals just failing to be able to participate in services and actually having fully funded services that could actually serve all the people who are in need.
Yes. Hospitals were closed because the idea was that people were going to get community care. And there was never funding for that community care, so it never came to fruition. So now everyone's like, why did they close all the hospitals? And it's like, well, because it was supposed to be replaced with something better that never got funding.
Thank you. I actually just want to make a comment. Me and her were public defenders. And yeah, we are. You're welcome. And thank you, Mr. Tier, for your leadership and your vision. I want to talk to you about maybe we can find a way to help fund those 6,000 beds. If there's anything we can do from our end, right? But I just want to highlight that a significant portion of the population, they don't have cell phones, they don't have cars, they don't have IDs. So it's a big lift. It's a big lift, and it's hard.
Is there a plan to expand the homeless court to include more jurisdictions? I know you mentioned how it'd be great for it to happen, but like, is there a plan of action, or is it just like conjecture? I hate to be like that, but yeah.
Let me take this. Over the years, I've had many different jurisdictions in our local area and from out of state and across the country. And some, I'll use Atlanta as an example, the judge there came over and wanted to do a site visit. So 3 days we went to shelters, we went to encampments. He came to a docket, and he just said, "What is it that's so successful here in Houston?" And because I can't get my providers to talk to each other, I said, "Well, that's what we do in Houston. We're a disaster city. We talk to each other. When a disaster hits, we talk to each other." So yes, I've had just recently someone from Conroe reach out to me, and they just, we can't fund it. Well, I get to the point where in the conversations, and when it comes to funding, hang up the phone. It's like, because that's what they're looking for. They're not in it for the reasons why we're in it. I hope that answers why. Where do you want to go? Neither am I. Thanks. Yeah. 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 Yeah, then big a lot. I default back to the attorneys.
First, I just want to thank you all so much for your time here tonight. This was a wonderful conversation, starting with the DA. Panel discussion was amazing. I have a very probably technical question that you guys are talking about some, right? And y'all mentioned every single one of your clients does not have an ID or a phone or a car, so on and so forth. I've been to the City of Houston's municipal court building, had a parking ticket. It's okay. We all do. It's Houston. And I had to show my ID to get into the building. And I'm just very curious, how do you guys overcome, I'm sure you know, right, you work with the program, but I'm just curious, how do you overcome that first essential barrier to getting your client service in that building?
I was not aware of having needed an ID. The success of the clients that you're serving, the clients that show up to the program, they don't need an ID to gain access to the court, their court docket. All they have to do is show up. That's success. And last thing I'll share here too is that still to this day, at the beginning, I chose not to get a clearance badge. And so I go through security just like everyone else does. And the reason is because I'm not an attorney, I'm not a judge, I don't work for the city. And I want to be reminded of what our clients go through. And I never wanted to take that privilege. And so, but here's the funny part. I wear 20 rings, and I the detector, the metal detector goes, so they still have to wand me.
All right. I'm going to head over closing remarks to Kelly Young, CEO of the Coalition for the Homeless. But please, one more round of applause for this incredible panel this evening.
So thank you all very much. Much love and appreciation. There are days. I've decided that every day is now a full week. So this week has already been 3 weeks. And it was really, really necessary to be reminded of just the greatness and the humanity in our world, because sometimes it doesn't feel that way. So thank you very much for that. I would gather, not sure I'm going to actually ask, but I feel like your 8th grade teacher is very proud of you. Right? I think you did a good job. So thank you. Did you? Let's see. He wasn't sure, but you know what? All of us have had one teacher that you might have tortured slowly, who you knew actually had your back and was going to make sure you were going to make it. So thank you for being an excellent teacher and giving us a good DA, because we needed that. Yeah. The reason we do these presentations is because we are trying to help tie what is necessary for us to really address the ecosystem of homelessness altogether. Because what has happened for the homeless response system and all the work around what the coalition has done over all these years, and I used to be a provider in homeless programs, is that we've been at this weird barrage of it's not enough, you're not doing enough, it's not good enough. It doesn't matter that you house, reduced homelessness for 60% over the last however many years. It doesn't matter that you've done all this great work. It's still not enough. It's still not enough. Here's what I want people to understand. The reason it's not enough is because we haven't helped other systems be enough to help with the inflow into the homeless system. And when you actually have leaders in other systems that say, I would like to stop creating homelessness or continuing homelessness or adding to homelessness, that is a place of change. When you talk about knowing that you need 6,000 beds and that you would rather spend $52 million on that than the beds that you're spending to put somebody in jail, that actually gives us an opportunity to change an inflow system instead of just going for what we've done year after year after year. When you talk about needing mental health systems and crisis centers, there was a really good piece of legislation that we championed last legislative session. It will be back in whatever years, right? That's the man back there who's not listening to me. Yes. So our director of public affairs, and we're going up to DC next week to argue some points. But the whole point was to build in crisis centers throughout the county, because we know we are the second largest county, which is actually the same size as the state of Delaware. And probably needs mobile units to address this, not buildings necessarily. Like, we have to be much more creative about what we do. We did this with substance use and mental health in the last to talk about what they need in terms of services, so that we don't overburden any system, but we tie all the systems together and we connect them. Because the truth of the matter is that all of these systems, when they work right, none of the people that we serve fall through the cracks. And at the end of the day, system thinkers are great. We're wonderful at putting all the, the if-thens together, all the logic together and making that all work. But life is illogical, and what happens to people is illogical. And you deal in the illogical pieces of those moments, And you remind us that we're all humans and we are incredibly lucky that our lives don't fall apart and that we might have enough people that hold us together. And if we don't, that we have people like you who will help shepherd us through whatever happens. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. And all I can do at this moment, I was laughing because I sent this to my team and I'm just going to send it to everybody I ever know, which is, and it totally dates me, but there's this great YouTube of Beaker from the Muppets who does Ode to Joy. And he gets so excited by joy that he literally blows the whole thing up and then sets himself on fire. And, and it makes me happy because at this moment in time in life, and just to remind ourselves that we live in the essence of joy all the time because we have an awful lot going for us. We get to go home tonight to a warm bed, to food, to people we love. Cherish that, live in that joy. Tomorrow, wake up, do something really good for somebody else because somebody needs it. And thank you all for being here.